Hey everyone, it's Jamie and welcome back to my channel. We haven't done a speed build in a hot minute, so I decided we were going to jump back in and I was going to start actually editing some of the footage I have. I have a bunch of footage for a bunch of speed builds that I haven't posted yet, and I think that's I love building in The Sims 4. I generally think I'm a decent builder. I wouldn't say I'm like the best builder in the world, but I think I'm pretty good, you know? Not to toot my own horn, but I generally, I build something and I go, ooh, who did that? Me? There are also plenty of times where I build something and go, ooh, this is one to be just destroyed. Clear the lot. But I haven't done a speed build in a hot minute, so I decided to jump back on in and just start editing a few. I've been really focusing a lot of my content on kind of speculative and kind of talking videos, and I don't really know if that's what people want. You can let me know down below if that even interests you. Those videos do tend to get a little bit more views, which is why I think I was doing them. But I personally prefer building. Building is what I do mostly in The Sims. I would say I probably do 60% building, 40% playing. But to be fair, I do think part of it is I'm currently, at least, since I'm rebuilding all of The Sims 4, I think that's why I haven't done a lot of playing of it as of recent. And I still play, I'll go on and I'll play for a few hours and I'll be like, ooh, I'm gonna play with this family, gonna get some of their needs up, start working on their skills, and I'll do that for a few hours and I'm like, okay, time to build again. It's almost kind of almost like a reward in some ways. I'll build, or I'll build for a little bit and then I'll play and they'll be like, okay, I guess I gotta go back and build. I don't know. I really love building in The Sims 4. I think the whole, The Sims 4 build mode is the best. Sims 3 build mode has nothing on The Sims 4. And I know, you could argue that The Sims 3 had some better items, but I will sacrifice better items for, how building actually works. I hate building in The Sims 3. I think a year or so ago, I posted a video of me trying to build in The Sims 3 after years of not playing, and was like, girl, I am struggling. I don't know what I'm doing. This is, and so I just prefer building in The Sims 4. And honestly, when I first started playing The Sims, when I played The Sims 1 with some friends, because I used to play it up there at my friends' houses. I never owned the first Sims game, but I had friends who were big Sims fans, and they would always be like, here, you play. And I never built. And then The Sims 2, I didn't really build in either. I was one of those people who I would find a pre-made house, and then I would just throw stuff down on my lot that I liked as I bought them. Yeah, I'll buy this stupid hot tub, and that does not fit with the vibe. It's fine. And then in The Sims 3, I did some build, basic building. I would build an EA house. And then I got to The Sims 4, and I was like, building is so easy in this game. It's just so more intuitive. And that's actually one thing I think that's really nice about The Sims 4 in general. I think all of it is a lot more intuitive. I think the mechanics of actually how to play the game is far more intuitive. I think the way a lot of the screens work. There are a few exceptions, the school schedule they came up with university, I think could been done a lot better. I don't think that one's very intuitive, and I don't think that one's very even visually nice to look at. But then the way they do with spellcasters and other occults, their whole UI system, that's so good. It's beautiful. Now that was very intuitive. The memory system in the base game, many people don't know we have a memory system, and I definitely think if we ever get a Generations-esque type pack, they need to give us like the Sims 3 or Sims 2 memory system, because this memory system we have in the game right now is not good. It's just not very, like I said, number one, I've said this word too many times already, but it's not very intuitive, and it's just like you don't want to use it because it's so hard to use. So how the memory system now works in the game is you take a photo while your sim is like, in an emotional state other than like neutral. And I guess you could do one in neutral too, and then you take a screenshot, and then you put that screenshot by going down to like the little camera thing at the bottom, and there's like a little thing there for like the whole memory system, and you have to like scroll through all your screenshots to find that specific screenshot, and then you have to mark it as it's dumb. And there's one thing I do like about it, because how it works is it's labeled with an emotion. So like when you look at it, you have your sim like think about it and like look at the image, that there actually is like an emotional response. And I do really like that concept, but I hate how the system works. So if they ever update it or give us a better one with a different pack, I would love that emotional kind of like reaction you can get from it, but in a much easier, almost like Sims 2 or even Sims 3 memory system. Just because the current one, it's just not worth it in my opinion to use, really. And I'm one of the few players I think who actually really likes the emotion system in the game. I do think it needs some work. I think it could, for me as of right now, I don't think it's a terrible system. I just think it has some kinks that still need to be worked out. Like for number one, I think one thing that would really help is if they made certain moodlets maybe last longer and have like different variations to it. Like for example, because if your sim like cheats on their spouse is going to be upset for like a few days, and then they'll be fine. And I think it would be better if that could last maybe, days, months, maybe even like a whole year in The Sims, which I know you don't really have like distinct years because of seasons. So either way, I think it should last a much longer duration, and I think it should also have a different cool down kind of way, where I think it should be like maybe at first they're really mad or really upset, and then like slowly they start to like maybe hate you less. And I think this could be really well done if they also added certain interactions that could work on getting your spouse to like win, like for you to win their trust back or make them happier, like spending extra money on gifts for them, taking them out on dates. Like I think there's things you could do that could actually like be more beneficial for gameplay. And then I think also maybe depending on your traits and your spouse's traits could also really just like affect how it kind of goes down. For example, like if is stubborn a trait, or is stubborn just a trait for pets? Because if it's just, I think it's just a trait for pets, but I think they should have it for people. Because like, let's say your spouse is super stubborn and you're trying to like fix your relationship because you had your sim cheat on them, then I think they could be maybe less open to forgiving you and be like a lot more rude to you. I think that would be, worth it. Anyways, I don't know how we got on this topic here, but I'm just going to hold on that for a second just to get back into this build here, because I do want to talk about this build. So if you didn't tell, because I don't think I mentioned it, so we're building here in not Oasis Springs, oh my god, here in Evergreen Harbor, the world that came with eco lifestyle. And with this specific lot type. This is one of the new community lots, which is known as the public garden. So I decided to build this in Sprucewood Square. I think that's what it's called. It's the one that's right near the train station in this world. And I just love this world, and I thought this world would be perfect for a garden. And my thinking of it is in Boston, which is where I live near, and where I lived for like 5 years of my life. In Boston, there are community gardens spread out through the city. Where I went to school, we are near Fenway, so there was sent by the Fens, which is like this big park area, which is near Fenway Park. Yeah, who cares about sports? But so in this public park area, there were these public gardens that like anyone could walk through, but they would be split up into like little areas, and they would be split off by fences, and you could pretty much pay, I guess not pretty much, how it worked is you would pay, I don't know who you paid to rent a space, but you would rent a space, and you could pretty much grow, like if you want to grow fruits and vegetables, if you want to grow flowers, you could pretty much grow whatever you wanted as long as it's legal in these community spaces. And they would just be like these open areas surrounded by a wall or something, or a fence, and it was super fun. You could walk through them, you could see what people are planting, you could talk to people, and if you rented a space you could grow. It was very nice, and originally I thought about doing that, but since Evergreen Harbor isn't like a city, I was like, okay, so I don't want to do it like that. I still want a building. Also with my community lots, I always try to make my community lots very like usable for many different types of gameplay. For example, in this one here, I do have a few like places you can go to build stuff. Like you see, I have like the candle making station. I have the fruit fizzer thing, juice fizzer. I have, I put down different like the bug homes, and I put down like just a bunch of things for you to do as well. There's also like that toddler/kids area, and then I also end up putting like a little game room together. And then, then of course there's also the community garden aspect where you can grow things. And then I put a bunch of plants down to make it really green. But I really wanted this building here because I want you to be able to use it in many different facets, which is, I'm going to bring that up also because there's two versions of this on my gallery. The version I'm building here in the video is version 1. It's just called the Sprucewood Square. And then the second one is called Sprucewood Square Garden. They're both community gardens. But I wanted to differentiate them because the one that's garden in the name also is a partial wedding venue. In that big room up by the front near the bathrooms, where I had put some more tables for you to sell things to the fridge, I was like, oh, if it's raining, you can sell stuff here. But I also ended up swapping that out in the version that's going to be in my save file, and which is the version known as the Sprucewood Square Garden. And in that version, there's like a whole wedding venue there. I have the tables from that terrible stuff pack that I use all the time, luxury party stuff. They have those catering tables, buffet tables, and I ended up using that and putting down some tables. So you can get married here, and I have a wedding arch off in the gardens. It's very beautiful. I do really like it a lot. I do want one of my Sims to get married here. And I just thought it would be like a really nice area to get married in, as well as I also put a graveyard. So I always try to put on my community lots, whether it be like a community wedding lot, community like park or something, I try to put places where you can bury your Sims. We don't really have cemeteries in The Sims 4 right now, and I just thought it would be nice. I can't speak to the longevity of how well these work, because for example, like if you put some Sims down in a home and you have them buried there, and their kids in the home, but if the kids move or whatever, or die, get deleted or whatever, and if they move specifically, you don't take the headstones with you, any headstones left on that property that you're no longer playing in, they will lose like the information like they won't say that it's like a tombstone anymore for like, you know, for like Mortimer Goth or whatever. And I do think that's something I wish the Sims team would fix. I don't know how fixable it is. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to know enough about like coding to say, oh yeah, that seems like an easy fix, but if they can fix it, I definitely would like them to, just because now that I'm building, like in almost all of my community lots, I include a place for you to be able to bury your Sims. And that way, because I thought, okay, it'd be nice because then you can host a funeral here or something, do a family gathering here. Even though we don't have like funerals, it's like a party type, but you know, I thought it'd be like a nice thing where your Sims can come and they'll go mourn, and then maybe they can go eat or something, spend a day in the park, you know. I decided it could be like a little nice little remembrance of life. I don't know if I want funerals in The Sims 4. It's like one of those things where, like, for me personally, someone who's like part of that whole like death positivity movement with like Caitlin Doty, if you don't follow her, she has a channel here, Ask a Mortician on YouTube. She's great. She's written a few books. She's like an inspiration for me, but she's all about like making death so much more in our communications and like relationships with death, like so much more interesting and like healthy. So on one hand, I'm like, it would be nice to have funerals in The Sims 4, but it's also one of the things where I'm like, I can understand people saying they don't want to play with them though. But also, just because it's like in the base game doesn't mean you have to play it. There's so many things that come with packs that I don't play with. But I know someone would get upset. And, you know, I do have an opinion, probably a little unwarranted. But I do not like when people say, like, if there's like an aspect in the base game or in some pack that they don't play with, and then they act like it's somehow like an offense to them. You know, for example, there's plenty of things in the base game I don't really use the voodoo doll ever, but like I'm not mad that it's there. Maybe one day I will use it, but also there's probably players who love it. You know, it's just like stuff like that where I feel like people get so like bent out of shape. Like, I can't believe they added this game feature, I'm never gonna use it, they're ruining my life. I'm like, calm down. Like, listen, we all get very passionate about The Sims, me too. And there's plenty of things that they've added that I've gone, why would they do this to me? But, you know, for the most part, I try to remember I'm not the only one playing, and that's not just for me. And I mean, we could extend this conversation, talk about the latest game pack. I'm going to hold any of my opinions and reservations until the pack comes out and I get it. I plan on getting it the day it launches. Sadly, I won't get out of work on Tuesday until like 5:30. So I'll be getting a little late. I don't know how much I'll be able to play it because I do have work the next day. Oh, I will say I love what I do at my job. So for anyone who's new here, I work in substance abuse services. And I do love my job, and I love being able to work in a field that lets me help people. And I'm so lucky too, because my job, they let me do like an art activity every week with the patients, and it's super fun and rewarding. And it also like lets me really get a chance to use like my art skills, and it's just so nice because it's not really art therapy because, you know, I don't have a degree in that, but what I like to you know, put it out for the patients is it's a nice opportunity for you to relax and to breathe. And I do love my job, but I sometimes get very envious of the YouTubers who are able to not work, because like YouTube has become like a full-time job for them, and I'm so like, you know, I'm both jealous but also so happy for them. And sometimes I'm like, why can't that be me? Why do I have to work? But you know, I do love my job. Anyways, we're probably gonna be wrapping up in a few minutes. So like I said, there's 2 versions of this on the gallery. Feel free to check them both out. Part of the reason I did them in 2 different versions is I try not to use stuff packs. I'm pretty sure I use the stuff pack still here somewhere. But I try not to use stuff packs in my builds because I personally, unless it's like a specific, like a tiny house build or something, and the reason for that is I don't want people to feel like they need to buy stuff packs. I personally think stuff packs are just kind of, they're not a necessity when it comes to The Sims 4. I do think they've made stuff packs a lot more interesting in The Sims 4 compared to past iterations. Like, they used to just literally be like furniture. At least now there is some gameplay that comes with some of them, like, you know, tiny living, vintage, the vintage one, that one comes with like butlers, like, so there is some gameplay with them. But anyways, I'm gonna be wrapping up my voiceover now. I'll see you in the next video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.